Hey, this is Erich Hunter, and I'd like to talk about one of my new healing pendulums. And this one here is called the Tree of Life DNA Healing Pendulum. So I'm creating a new line of healing pendulums. And the reason why I'm doing this is because the designs that we are used to, like Isis pendulums and the Karnak and Osiris, all those designs and all the spin-offs and variations of the design, like I had one called the Orion, they basically were invented like 50 or 60 years ago. And they're no longer cutting edge. They work great, and like if you have one, keep it. They're awesome healing tools. But the consciousness level of healers has changed in the last 50 or 60 years. And we need new healing pendulums to reflect this higher level of consciousness that we have now. Um, just using the old technology is, it's okay, but I'd rather see us evolve and move forward. So that's why I'm creating this new line of healing pendulums. And I have several designs that are in the works and are going to be coming out shortly, or some already are out. I'll make another video about my Asclepius pendulum, which is another really cool healer. Okay, so the designs that we're used to are old-fashioned. They've been around for a while. If it works, keep it. But I want to up-level things. And I realized that a lot of the pendulum manufacturers out there were really just stuck. I mean, like, they were really just making these pendulums over and over again in different variations because they were lazy. They didn't want to be innovative. They didn't want to change their tooling. They didn't want to take any risks. So that's the reason why I had to stop selling my Orion pendulum, was because the manufacturers just were not willing to be creative. They were not willing to raise their consciousness. And they were not willing to meet me with my vision of creating really awesome healing tools. They just wanted to keep making the same old things they've been making for the last, 50 years. So what I did was I hired artists to help me create these new healing designs, these new healing pendulums. So what I would do is I would come up with the image of what I wanted, and I hired artists to help me create the image, create the model, and then using very high-tech technology, we're creating these pendulums, and these are totally like different than the ones that are currently out there. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about this one. So first of all, you'll notice in the center we have a tree of life. And the branches are up top. Now the actual trunk of the tree is a DNA helix. I'm sorry if it's not coming out completely clearly in this, because my camera is a little wonky right now. I got to get a new camera here. But I'll also put a picture of it at the end. Let's see if this might help show it a little more. So there's like a DNA helix with actual, the base pairs are joined together. We have the ribose, deoxyribose going through here, and it's twisting around. And then it comes to a root structure. Now, the whole thing is enclosed in opposing pair of Vesica Pisces. So let's go over some of the symbolism of all this, why I did this. So first of all, as you can tell just by looking at this pendulum, it's very fine. It has a very delicate sort of energy. It is surprisingly powerful though. Like if you're sensitive to energy and you put your hand under this pendulum, you can really feel a lot of pressure, but it doesn't hurt. It's not uncomfortable or anything, but you can tell, because like any good healing pendulum, when you put your hand under it, you'll feel like a pressure on your hand. If you're sensitive to energy, your hand chakra will react to it. I'll point it at the screen. Some of you who are sensitive to energy might be able to feel it. Okay. So the energy is strong, but it's also very delicate and refined at the same time. It's like a very odd combination for a pendulum. I've never had a pendulum that was like this before. And I created it to reflect some metaphysical concepts. So the tree of life, obviously, that is such a profound symbol. There's so much meaning to that for healing, spirituality. Just so many layers, but I have both the the roots and the shoots, as Jane Goodall's foundation is called, roots and shoots. So I've got them both here. And the reason why is I wanted to have it be balanced. So it's representing the Hermetic principle of as above, so below. The higher is reflecting the lower. So there's sort of a parallel structure going on there. Okay, the tree is obviously life, rebirth. It represents so many profound metaphysical concepts. I could go on and on with a gigantic list. So I won't go into all that, but just sort of point out some of the highlights here. Oh, sorry, I'm having trouble getting this thing in focus. All right, the DNA helix. Why did I put that in there? I want this pendulum to resonate at the subcellular level, like with DNA and molecules. So that's why I put that helix in there, so that we could make some attempt to have this actually resonate with the DNA. So DNA healing is very popular in New Age healing methods. So my idea here is to create this very fine and delicate structure that would resonate with all life forms. You know, the tree of life is, you know, representative of life forms, beings. And then the DNA is one of the distinctive characteristics of animals, plants, and some other organisms like the protists and things. So I wanted to resonate with that. So you could do like really, really deep, profound, transformational healing with this pendulum. That was my idea there. Now, the Vesica Pisces is a very profound symbol. This doesn't have the little tail thing sticking off, but if it did, you would recognize it as the symbol of the Christ, the ichthus. But it represents so many other things as well. Just to kind of give you one example, the Vesica is shaped like the womb. So this symbolizes a rebirth or a birth. So my idea here is that when we're getting healing, we want to influence the life form. We want to approach it from both the large scale, the tree, but also the small scale, the DNA. And then we want there to be a rebirth process of a new potential, a new being, a healing. So that is sort of the idea and the principles behind this pendulum. There are others too. This thing is deep, it's profound. If you study it, I'm sure that people are gonna tell me things that I didn't even think of, that somehow when I channeled this idea, it got in here. And I'm working with these artists. So I work with some really incredibly talented artists on these new pendulums. All right, now, awesome thing about these pendulums is they're made of metal. So this one here is polished brass, but you can choose what type of metal you want. So like I have gold-plated versions, silver versions, bronze versions, rhodium, and I chose metals that resonate well with the human biofield based on my experience, but you can choose which one you want. They all work similar, but you may resonate better with a particular kind of metal. And so you would choose the metal that resonates best with you. Now, another thing I did was in the past when I was selling the Orion pendulum, everyone was cutting, oh, the string keeps breaking. How do I put a new string on? It was such a pain. You had to like unscrew it and everything, and it was like a nightmare. So all of my new designs are going to have a loop, just a handy little loop built right into the top. Now, it does not come with a string because the production cost on these pendulums is extremely high. If I were to ship it to me and tie the string on, send it to you, it would raise the price even more. And I really am trying to bring prices down because these are very expensive for me to create. And I actually spent a lot of money developing like these designs. So, you know, what I did was I created it so it's super easy for you to put a string on. So you can put on any kind of string you want. Now, if you're just a dowser and you're not actually a pendulum healer, you can put a chain on here. But if you are a pendulum healer, do not use a chain. Use a cotton string. It doesn't matter if it's black or white, or it could be any color you want. Just make sure it's a cotton string and tied on, and then that will protect your hand chakra when you're doing the healing work. Okay, so as you notice, this thing is extremely responsive. It responds to energy and it responds to thoughts. Very, very sensitive, but it has enough mass, enough weight to feel like it's solid, but it's not heavy at all. It's like a feather almost. And it just really is responsive and moves around. So if you're doing dowsing, this will really give you very accurate like dowsing directions. If you're doing the pendulum healing, it will very easily get in resonance with the body and start doing healing work on the aura. The radius, for those who are interested, the energy that the electromagnetic energy that this pendulum emanates, my readings of it are that it's white, so it's like an Isis pendulum. Yeah, and I've been using it now, and it's just a really awesome, super cool healing pendulum. Okay, so you can post your questions or comments below. I have a link to where you can find this. On my website, I have a page called Pendulums, and I have all of my new designs listed. Right now, I only have 2 up, but in the next week or so, I'm going to have another 3. And then in the next month or so, I should have like 5 or 6 more designs, and each one's going to be very different. This is sort of the sacred geometry theme here. Another pendulum I have out is the Asclepius, which is the medical symbol of the snake wrapping around the staff. And I'm going to make another video on that, really potent pendulum. I have another Tree of Life pendulum coming out, but it's not based on sacred geometry. And I'm calling that one right now tentatively the Druid. It's still in experimental phase, but it's like an oak tree on top of an acorn. It looks so cool. Anyway, and that's going to be more for like magical practices and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you around. Bye.